thinking they playing with me. Look into my eyes, do it look like you playing me? Yes, it's safe to be thinking that you could ever get over on me. I'm a rebel to this game, so ain't no rules if he finds me. Y'all a felon in this industry. Y'all misdemeanors, tell me smart, I'm new.
Yo, what's up, everybody? This is your man, Next Icon. Y'all know what day it is. This is Wednesday, October 20. Hold on, give me a minute. 26, I think. And this is the ICON Chronicles, and I am, as always, your host. The always incomparable Next Icon. No excuses. I can overcome negativity. Y'all know what that means. Y'all know what it is. So we about to get this show started. This is the actual day for the show. Anybody that tuned in on Monday, you know that was just it was an opportunity for me to make sure that the app that I was using for scheduling was actually functional and able to work, which it did. And I do appreciate Miss Tammy Bailey for stepping in and helping me out, since she is the one that taught me about StreamYard. So, but we're going to go ahead and get this thing started. I'm not going to go through my usual spiel that I usually do. Maybe I will. But if anybody can hear it in my voice, it is a little bit off, because me and a cold, we are battling with each other for supremacy of this body, and it's a tough fight, but we're gonna make it through. We're gonna make it do what it do. So bear with me as I go through this. Tonight I have another special guest in the show who will be here momentarily. So until that point in time, I guess I will go ahead and go through my spiel. I just had a movie released, so you can all go to link.tree and check it out. It's called Solid Rock Trust. The movie is also available on Amazon Prime, so you can go to either one of those sites to check it out. Again, the movie is called Solid Rock Trust. I played a police officer by the name of Waters, who is trying to catch a criminal. I'm not going to go any more further than that. That leads it to me saying that I am an actor. I'm also an artist, hence the name Next Icon. And I will be having 2 releases coming out. One on November 6th or 9th, a single called Tell Me, and then I will have another single coming out about a week or so after that called Another Lost Soul. Both distributed, as always, by DistroKid. If you are an independent artist, make sure that you sign up with DistroKid. They do distribute your music to different formats. And they have been very, very, very good to me. So yes, I am pumping them up. I have not decided what I'm going to do next year for music. The goal this year was to do a new single every month, and I think I pretty much achieved that. I think I only have one more single to do, and that'll be for December. So once I get this cold out of me and get my voice back right, I will be back in the studio to get working on the next track. I'm not sure what it's going to be yet. I'm also an author. I have 5 books: Love for the Game, Balls of My Word, Brutal, and Confessions from the Flip Side of Love, Volumes 1 and Volume 2. Now, I will be having two other books hopefully finished, if not by the end of this year, by sometime by the beginning of next year. One is called Across the River, and the other is called Confessions from the Flip Side of Love, Volume 3. Now, Confessions from the Flip Side of Love are books of original poetry written by me. So hey, check them out. Go to www.lulu, that's lulu.com/spotlight/next icon, and you can see what books that I do have available. There's never nothing wrong with reading. Reading is fundamental. So take some time, check out the books, check out the movies, check out the music. It's all there, live and direct. Bear with me, y'all. Any of my music is available online. Just type my name in the search window, and everything that I have released will be available to you. The books will be related are available as well. You can check me out on IMDb. What else? I'm trying to think. I'm currently in production for Moshe, currently in production for Love in Atlanta, and currently in production for Atlanta's Ugly 2.0. uh, I know that I sound like a stone cold mess, but anybody that knows me knows that I am a trooper. I do not let anything stop me from doing what it is that I need to do and have to do. So, without further ado, uh, we're going to start to head towards the way of introducing my next guest. Um, and let me say this as well. If you are an individual that really does not have a team to work with you and they help you out and support you and they have your back, Calendly.com is a very good site to help manage your interviews, manage your schedule, etc. This is one of the programs that I started using, and so far I've had 3 people that have signed up for interviews. It's very simple. That you don't have to have any conversation. You don't have to do any pre-vetting unless you want to. You set up your account on Calendly.com and you put the notice up that you're looking for whatever it is you're looking for. Put the link in, and everybody can go to that link and set up an appointment with you, and you will get an email alerting you that somebody has made an appointment. So far it seems to be working very well for me. That's it. I have 3 interviews. Now, what I did is as an experimental thing is I left Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday open, even though my show is primarily on Wednesday. But as I get more familiar with this program, I will cut it down to just being able to do the scheduled interviews on Wednesday, maybe. It all depends on how I feel about it at the time. But if you would like to be seen, and if you would like to be heard, and if you would like people to know who you are and what it is that you do, what you're famous for, even if you just flip burgers at McDonald's, go to calendly.com/the ICON Chronicles and sign up for an interview, and boom, you're in the books. So do yourself a favor, because again, I've said this before. If you do not let people know that you exist, then you do not exist. So there's the link right there at the bottom of the page. Book your interview at calendly.com/ICON Chronicles. And yo, let's kick it for an hour. Let the world know who you are and what you're about. And let's make some things happen. Anyway, the time is getting there for me to introduce my next guest. And again, bear with me because I know that I sound like a very bad host, I guess. But we're going to make it do what it do. But without further ado, we're going to bring on my next guest from Atlanta, Georgia. And this is going to be Miss Sheree Brooks. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to bring her on right about now.
Hello.
Good evening, Miss Brooks. How are you this evening?
I'm good. How are you?
Well, as you can hear, I'm doing the best that I can. I probably sound like a very bad Denzel Washington, a very bad Billy D. Williams voice right now.
Okay.
But aside from all of that, we are here to talk about domestic violence, correct?
Yes, sir.
And what is this? What are some things that you would like to say in reference to domestic violence?
Well, it's a lot of females, and now it's even a lot of males going through it. First of all, no one deserves to be anyone's punching bag. No one deserves to be hit on, beat on. Um, it's a lot going on. I went through 9 years of domestic violence. My last incident of domestic violence came to the point of me being pinned between a car and a house. By being pinned between a Lincoln Town car, 1986, which is a heavy duty car, between a car and a house. Um, it's very unfortunate that people feel like that it's okay to treat people like that. It's very unfortunate that people feel like it's okay to put their hands on people. But however, some people feel like it is. It's if you're going through it, you need to seek some type of help, some type of counseling, because it does have long lasting effects. It does affect your other relationships, not just it affects family relationships, friendships, so far and so on. So if you're going through it, you need to seek some type counseling, some type help. Basically, that's all I have to say about it.
Yeah, well, now you said that you went through it for 9 years.
Yes, I
Now there
did,
are some people that would say that if you continue to go through it for 9 years, that you accepted it
and
and
I
that you
did,
allowed it to happen.
and I did. At first, I was saying, well, because my parents have been together over 50 years, and I was always the type that I felt like if you got in a relationship, you stayed in that relationship. That relationship was forever. So yes, I did accept it, and it messed up my self-esteem. It messed up everything because I felt like, honestly, I felt like I couldn't do any better, and I felt like that's where I was supposed to be, and I wasn't supposed to give up. That's a lie. That's a lie. If the first time somebody puts their hands on you, it's time for you to go.
So why did it take you? Why did it take you 9 years to decide to leave?
As I said, because I always felt like when you get in a relationship, that relationship was forever. And I was just trying to stick it out, you know. Don't looking at back on it now, I had to be out of my mind to stay there for 9 years. I had to be. But I did because like I said, I I grew up with both my parents. I grew up in a loving home. I grew up where my parents were together, and I felt like that's where it was should always be. I felt like when you get in a relationship, you stay in that relationship. That's
Uh,
not always true, not always good.
but there are a lot of people that have that belief, but there is the I guess the fantasy of wanting the American dream, the white picket fence, the pretty house, the dog, the 2.5 kids, and because it's been so ingrained in people in this country to believe in that, do you think that that would be that's part of the reason why some people don't want to leave a toxic relationship?
Yeah, I really do. They think that it's perfect. And this is not TV. This is real life. You know, everybody thinks you're gonna get married in life. You're going you both. Everybody's gonna work. Everything's gonna be perfect. Your kids gonna grow up, go to college. It does not always work like that. It does 95% of the time. It doesn't work like that. But as
Mm.
kids, well, me as a child growing up, that's why I thought it was going to be. I just thought everything was going to be perfect and hunky dory when I got older, but it didn't work out like that. And yes, that's why I stayed. But again, looking back at it, I was out of my mind to have stayed there for 9 years dealing with it. And the thing is, the things I went through still affect relationships that I'm in today. You know, I think I worry about everything. I stress about everything because I feel like, well, what if this ends up like that? What if that end you can't do that? So that's why I say if you went through it, you definitely need counseling. Even after leaving out of those situations, you still need counseling because it has lasting traumatic effects.
Now, are you saying counseling for the aggressor or counseling for the victim or both?
Both. Both.
Now, I may be the devil's advocate for saying this, but counseling, even for the aggressor, is only effective if the aggressor and or the victim both wanted to help.
Oh, definitely, definitely. If you're going to counseling just to be gone, that's a waste of your time and the counselor's time.
So, what is it that once a woman does leave a toxic relationship and she's made up her mind that she's going to leave and that she's not going back, what is it that goes through a woman's mind that makes her say that I'm going back? Like with you going through it for 9 years, I know that there had to be some points in times where you left.
I left 2 times.
But what was it that made you, outside of wanting the marriage to work, what else was it that made you go back? Was it something that he said?
Yeah, just fell for the quote unquote okie doke basically. Um, One, I'm not gonna do it no more. Come back, and for maybe a week or two, everything is great. Everything is fabulous. They're gonna wine and dine you. They're gonna treat you like a queen. Just just for you to fall back into that. And some of us are dumb enough to do it. I was, and I know I'm not the only woman out there that has been through this or that is going through this right now. And I'm just telling them it's gonna be okay. It's not their fault. It's not your fault. Just get away from them. It's not going to get better. It's only going to get worse.
And that is a major statement because of the fact that over the past few years there have been an increase in murder suicides. I'm sorry, excuse me. And a lot of that is are women that are falling victim to being the first to die or the first to get shot, and then the other half attempts to take their life.
Yeah.
What would you say to a young woman that is looking at you for advice on how to escape?
Baby girl, know your worth. Know your worth. Get away as fast as you can. But do not let them know. Don't even make them think that you're trying to leave. But the first chance you get, run and run fast. And don't look back.
Now, the other thing is, now I know that there are domestic violence shelters nationwide. A lot of women, even though they do leave these relationships and they say that they're gone, they still end up telling their significant other where they are.
Yeah, they do. And in that case, they really weren't ready to leave. I mean, that's just point blank. They wasn't ready to leave. Then a lot of times women ask for help and feel like they can get it. Let me prime example. My last incident, I actually called the police. And when I told them I wanted a warrant put, and I've in all that time I never called the police. When I actually called the police and I told them that I wanted a warrant put out on this person, I had bruises, I had stab wounds, I had everything. Do you know they told me they could not put out a warrant because I didn't know the year of the birthday. That might seem like something small to some people, but for somebody that's going through it, that's a deterrent. That makes you feel like no one wants to help you. So, and that's a lot of times why women do go back to the situations that they're in because they feel like they don't have anybody. They feel like they don't have anybody to help them. They feel like no one has their back. They feel like they're on their own and they're going through it by themselves. If the police won't help you, I mean, it's kind of like who else do I turn to? And most time you've cut off family members, you cut off friends because you keep running to them when things happen, but then you turn around and run back to this man.
And
So
that's
they're looking at you like you're just gonna go back to him. So me personally, I will never, ever put myself in a situation like this. And any young woman that's listening to this, it doesn't have to be a young woman, any woman that's listening to this that's going through it, please get out of this situation. Because I was fortunate enough to get out. Some women aren't.
now you also brought up the fact that men are also beginning to be excuse me, victims of domestic violence.
Yes, they are.
Is that surprising to you, or
Not really. I have three sons, and I'll tell my boys any day. I'll tell my boys any day. If if a woman has put her hands on you, or if you feel like you got to put your hands on a woman, you need to get away from her. Y'all need to get away from each other. It's not worth it. Yes, things happen. Things do happen, but domestic violence is nothing to play with. I hate to see my sons hurt because a woman decided to be violent toward them, or I hate to see my sons in prison because they decided to defend themselves against a woman. It's not worth it.
consider the fact that this is a nation that's bent, pretty much hell bent on violence,
Yeah,
and
it is.
thrives on violence, promotes violence, um, throws violence in your face every opportunity that they can get. Do you think that that contributes to some of the mind states of domestic violence?
Yeah, I do. The music, the TV shows, everything. It really does. Like I said, this is not TV, but some people don't seem to realize that this is real life with real life consequences.
But as you said, the police didn't want to help. So, are there really consequences?
Just because the police don't want to help doesn't mean that they're not consequences.
But it seems that
Because
the police really
some
don't want
women
to get
get to,
involved until a crime is actually committed, until you're actually in the morgue.
but who wants to take it that far? Just leave. Just get away from them. Just get away from them. The first time, just get away from them and stay away from them. No matter what, block them on all, block them on all, in any way they can contact you. Don't let them have any access to you.
In this day of everything being technological, that's a little bit difficult nowadays because
It's difficult, but it's possible. If you feel like you got to go get a restraining order, whatever, do what you have to do to protect you,
our
because
restraint.
nobody's gonna look out for you like you are gonna look out for you.
Do you feel that restraining orders are beneficial, or are they just a piece of paper?
Sometimes they can be beneficial, but I mean, if you're gonna go get a restraining order and then tomorrow you're going to respond to their text, it's kind of a waste of time. That's
And
why I
what if
said block them on any way they can have access to you. Make sure they can't have any access to you.
how do you feel about women arming themselves for protection,
I think it's a wonderful idea.
even if they're, especially with the new gun laws that are in Georgia now? Do you think that that would help women in domestic violence situations, or it would create a bigger problem?
I think just because I think people should be armed anyway. That's my personal opinion because it is a lot of crazy people out here, not just in domestic violence situations, just period. It's especially women getting off late night at work. You never know. There's a lot of single women out here, and you never know the mind state of the person next to you or the person walking past you. So I feel like everybody should be able to protect themselves at all costs.
And that was one of the premises of the new law. But it was also called into question that there's a limit of restriction as to who can carry a gun, because just as we feel that everybody should be armed, there are also those out here that should not ever have a gun.
Well, all I can do is speak for me. If you're crazy and you have a gun, well, I know I'm protected because I have mine. So I feel like if I feel like everybody should be allowed to protect themselves.
And by the Constitution, by the Second Amendment, there is a right to bear arms, but it's always misconstrued and always rearranged to benefit those lacking color.
Of course. Of course, but that's with any situation, not just with bearing arms. That's just the world, period.
So, do you feel that the police don't have as much sympathy and compassion for black women or any minority woman that's going through domestic violence?
I personally, I don't think police have sympathy for women. Period. The color has nothing to do with it. I just don't feel like, and the reason why is because it's a lot of women that have called police out over and over again doing domestic violence situations. And once they come out so many times, they just like, oh, it's just them again. And that's how they feel about things.
So, you think that they're desensitized to the reality of domestic violence on women?
Yeah, I do.
Now, there is a thought that a lot of police officers themselves are guilty of domestic violence.
My ex, his whole family is law enforcement. The whole family. So that's another reason that, you know, he wasn't really he didn't really get in any trouble. I didn't really call the police. His family is very, very well known in the city of Atlanta. And they're gonna protect theirs. They're gonna protect their own.
You know, growing up, now, I've been a big brother my entire life,
Hmm.
and I still have that mentality now. But my question is, the majority of families, majority of black women or women, period, have older brothers. They have male cousins. They have uncles. Why? What is the reason that when this happens that they don't go to them?
They do. I did. But then I turned around and went back.
So it's the same cycle.
Yeah. And they get tired of it too. Like I said, I have three sons. I have a father. I have uncles. I have male cousins. I have a big brother. I have a big brother that loves me to death, and I love him to death. And he would do anything for me. But at the same time, he's not going to take up for me if I'm steady going back doing the same stupid thing over and over again.
And what is do you think that it is a lack of self esteem that keeps women to going back and to tolerating it and putting up with it?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Because it will break your self esteem down. It will have you feeling lower than dirt. You get to the point where you feel like you can't do no better, that you're not worth any better. It has long lasting effects. It really does. But fortunately for me, I got out of that situation. Fortunately for me, um, I met someone that helps me with my self esteem. I met someone that, tries to talk positive things into my life. Um, and no matter if we're not, me and that person are not in a relationship, they'll always be a friend to me because I think about all the positive things that they taught me and all the positive things they said to me.
So how is it that women fall prey to men like that instead of the ones that bring positivity?
Well, like I said, from day one, it was whining and dining, treating me like a queen. And the first time it happened, it was kind of like, did this really just happen? I couldn't believe it. I can't believe that I was actually going through what I just went through. And then they apologized. And okay, well, it just happened that one time. It'll be okay. Wine and dining started back. Like I said, they treat you like a queen and you fall for it over and over and over. But then it keeps going on until the point where it's actually expected. It gets to the point where it's expected. If I don't do this, then he's gonna be mad. You actually might get to the point where you feel like that it's your fault. Well, maybe I shouldn't have did this and maybe I shouldn't do that. It's never, ever the victim's fault. Never.
And I've been in relationships where I actually felt that they were expecting that kind of treatment based on their past and based on the past of who they were with. That if they didn't, how did Richard Pryor say it, or what, or Eddie Murphy one of them said that if you didn't get your beating for the day, that you did something, that you didn't do something right.
Basically,
And but you're allowing yourself to be programmed into that ideology.
you're right. You do. You allow your you allow yourself to basically become like a robot. You're their robot. You're their slave. It's their world. You're just living in it. You do this or you get beat. You do that or you get beat. You know, I when I tell you the things that I have went through, the things I went through in those 9 years. Like I said, the last incident was three stab wounds. I've had feces thrown on me by this man. I've went through it all with this person.
And none of that was
But
an indication that it was time to go.
that was when it was time to go. That's when it was time to go. And I left. I but I didn't wa- but me, I had to fight my way out. But I did it and I made it out. But everybody's not as fortunate as me. That's why I say if you're in that situation, get out of it. It's not
And
worth it.
what do you think that women need to do to prevent themselves from being put into that situation?
Uh that I really can't answer because I never thought to this day, I don't know what I could have prevented, what I could have done to prevent it from the get go, but I know that I should have got out of it way a long time before I did.
You know, I was always told that you look at who it is that you're dealing with to understand, to get some understanding as to who you're dealing with. Like if you see a man that can't pay his bills, that he's always got shut off notices, that he's clearly not somebody that handles responsibility well.
Yeah, that's true. But
Why
you
would
know
that
what?
be a person that you would want to be involved with?
You shouldn't want to be involved with that. But you can't look at nobody and tell if they're a woman beater. I found that out. You can't look at nobody and tell, oh well, he's an abuser. That you can't do because it could be from the junkie dance standing down on the corner beating his girlfriend to the highest person in politics beating on their wife. You cannot look at nobody and tell that they're a woman.
But they say that there's always some kind of red flag.
That's not true. That is not true. I don't care what anyone says. That is not true. That is not true. Now, once you get into a relationship and you get to know this person or whatever, and once in the relationship or once you start dating them and you see that they have a temper, that might be a red flag. If you see they have a temper, you see that they're quick to get angry, that might be a red flag. But like I said, from the door, you cannot just look at nobody and say, well, oh, he beats on people. Can't do that.
Because Syria, again, this is a male-dominated world, and most men establish themselves through some type of violence to establish their position or their dominion.
Hmm.
There are those that are still under the mind state that the only way to handle a woman is to smack a woman. And this, I've grown up with this, that the best way to keep your woman in line is, how did they say that? Sometimes you have to smack a woman to keep her in line.
Yeah, not true. Not
And
true.
I've heard every excuse from she was clumsy, she slipped and fell. I opened the door and I didn't see her, and she got hit with the doorknob. Or I've heard virtually every excuse that anybody could come up with for how a woman got the bruises.
Oh yeah, you can come up with when people ask you about those bruises and you're scared for your life. You can come up with some stories. Oh, I fell. Oh, he hit me, but he didn't mean to. A bunch of BS and a bunch of lies. But people have to think about men. Don't think, men came. You came from a woman. You have a mother. You have sisters. You have female cousins. You won't want nobody putting their hands on them. So why put your hands on a woman? Because that's somebody's mother. That's somebody's sister. That's somebody's cousin.
But this is also a generational thing as well, because you have men and women that have grown up in that environment, and they're accustomed to that environment because that's all they know, that's all they've seen, that's all they've come to understand. How do you how how would you combat something like that?
Well, me personally, I can't speak on that because I grew up in a very loving home. Um, my parents have always took care of me. They've always took care of their three kids. My I didn't grow up with fighting and arguing and fussing. I didn't grow up with any of that. So I can't really speak on that one. And like I said, I never ever thought that I would be a victim of domestic violence. Not from the background I came from. I never did, but I am.
But do you think that
All I
that background played a factor in you falling into that trap?
say it again.
Do you think that coming from that background, um, I forgot how I phrased the question. Do you think that that background kind of opened up the door for you to fall into that trap because you had never experienced it before?
Probably so. Probably so because I felt like, well, I was sheltered growing up. Like I really was. My parents went to work. After work, we came home. We did family things. It wasn't no hanging in the street. It wasn't hanging out where if they was not family or the same religion as my family, we were not we were not allowed to associate with them. And me personally, like I was sheltered. So when I did get out here, I just was out here basically. And for a second, maybe I thought that was normal. Maybe I thought, I don't know, because like I said, I wasn't used to things like that. I never had to deal with things like that. And like I said from the jump, I always felt like in a relationship, when you get in a relationship, it's forever
And there are
because that's
still
what I
some
was
people that
always taught.
there are still some people that do believe that, but the way that society has transformed itself now, relationships are not, they don't hold as much meaning and as much credibility as it used to.
Definitely, definitely.
Everybody wants to be in the 30 year club, the 40 year club, the 50 year club, the 60 year club, but there's nobody that's showing them how to get to the 30 years and how to get make that 30 years last another 30 years and to make that last another 30 years. How did you
Yeah.
prepare your sons to deal to be able to face that?
First of all, I told my sons at right now at this point, my sons are 22, 23, and 24. Right now, you need to be worried about your education and getting yourselves together. There's nothing wrong with having a girlfriend, but you can't take care of nobody until you can take care of you. Get yourself together, get on your feet, have your own first. Have everything of your own first. Have stuff put back for a rainy day. Because don't move in with a female because at any time she can tell you to get out. You know, that's how I prepare my sons. Take care of you first. You can't take care of nobody else until you can take care of you.
Now, that leads to my next question: Is do you think that that's what makes women also fall prey to that mind state because they 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 weren't shown how to be on their own and how to handle their own business, and that they
Yeah,
have to have a man in order to validate themselves or to feel established or to feel like they're valuable or worth something.
yeah, I do. I do. A lot of a lot of women feel a lot of Women were taught that you need a man in your life. No, you don't. No, you don't. You gotta take care of you first. Can't love nobody else until you love yourself.
But if you've never been taught that, then how do you learn that?
Hmm. Unfortunately, I hate to put it this way, but I had to learn it in the streets.
The streets is a very brutal animal.
It sure is. And unfortunately, I dealt with it, but it taught me a lot of things like gotta take care of you. No, you can't love nobody else until you love yourself. You can't do for anybody else until you do for yourself. You gotta put you first.
Now, as far as moving forward from your past, um, I've had this conversation with different people in the terms of forgiveness, and people get mad when that topic is brought up because they feel that, well, I'm not going to forgive them, and I can't forgive them, and there's no sense of forgiving them.
I felt like that. But I will say, and this might sound crazy, but literally just within the last month, I can truthfully say I have forgave him. Not for him, but for me. Because because he's went on and doing his business and doing with whoever and probably treating the next person the same way he treated me. And I'm letting what I went through affect what I have going on now. And I can't do that. I couldn't do that anymore. So he's forgiven. It won't be forgotten, but it's forgiven.
And the reason why I brought that up is because I try and get people to understand that same point is that the forgiveness is not for the other person. The forgiveness is for yourself so that you can move on. Because the person that you're forgiving, most of the time, they're not even thinking about you. They're not
But
thinking about
you're
what they
right.
did. They're not thinking about how they did you. They're not thinking of apologizing. They're not feeling any regret. They're not feeling any guilt. They're not feeling any remorse. So they don't have to know that you forgave them.
You're right. Long as you know. Long as you know that you forgave them. And go on with your life. Don't let them have that much access to you in your head and in your heart. Because like I said, they're going on about their business, so go on about yours. Don't let what happened in your past hold you down and keep you down. Right now I am getting counseling for what I've been through, which is helping. Um, it's helping a lot.
You know that that's a curse word in the black community.
Well, it might be, but if I needed it, so I'm getting it.
And there's some people that of color, we're gonna go stick to our own, that think that they don't need counseling, that they don't need a therapist, that they don't need a psychiatrist, that it's a sham, that it's a waste of time, it's a waste of effort. What
Yeah,
would
not true. I mean, yeah, it is some people like that, but that's definitely not a true statement, and it does help. Don't down something or say it's this or that until you try it. You know the saying is try it, you might like it.
and in the realm of trying to find counseling, there are people that have financial hardship that they feel that they can't afford counseling.
There's free counseling available. Make Google your best friend. There is free counseling.
And how effective has it been? Now you said it's helping. How effective has it been for you?
It's helping me a lot because I find myself not speaking on things that are irrelevant or mi- minute, just things that are not even worth it, things that usually I want to fuss about, I want to argue about, I want to just blow up about. It's not even worth it. And I find myself, like I said, I found that I had forgave that person, and I know that counseling was a big deal in it. I find myself that I can admit to some of my insecurities that I would not have admitted to at first. I find myself that I have issues with individuals who have not done anything to me. Individuals that I could have actually probably have been learning from, all because I feel like, well, why did I have to go through this and they didn't go through this? Or why do they have this and I don't have this? Just crazy stuff. Just I mean, literally crazy stuff. But my counselor has really helped me as far as talking to me because she's very straightforward. She's to the point. She doesn't sugarcoat anything, and I love talking to her. Now, when the first time I talked to her, I was thinking, "Oh, this lady is mean." She wasn't mean. She was just straightforward and real.
Uh, if you were, again, to just reiterate this, if you were to meet someone, whether male or female, that was going through the same thing that you were going through,
Mhm.
and they felt that they had nowhere to turn and no escape, what would your advice be to them?
You always have an escape, babe. You always have an escape. Get out of that situation. Get out of that situation quickly. Again, it will not get better. It will not get better. My phone line is always going to be open to anyone going through that. Anyone, whether it's male or female. And I would do whatever I could to help them.
You know, like as you mentioned earlier, that you were carrying all of that into other relationships.
Yeah,
People don't understand that that's unnecessary baggage.
exactly. It really
You're
is.
putting somebody else in a position, basically, you're making them pay for what somebody else did.
And that's not right. It's not right. It's not fair to them, especially when they're doing all they can to be there for you. It's not right. It's not fair to them. And at the end of the day, you're going to end up losing them. And all they did was try to be there and help you.
How hard was it for you to accept that kind of help and that kind of positivity coming from somebody?
Oh, very. It was very hard because I felt like you just like them too. You just another man that just out for one thing, and that's how I felt. That's how I felt about the situation, not knowing that it really is some good men out here. It really is some good women out here. It's people out here that don't want nothing but the best for you. You just have to give them a chance, and you have to be willing to listen, not just not just hear them, but actually listen to them and take heed of what they're saying.
See, and that's another key point because people either hear and they don't listen, or they listen and they don't hear.
Exactly.
And my mother always says that sometimes a bought lesson is better than a told one.
Yeah, I've bought enough lessons.
In the
So
realm of domestic violence, though, that bought lesson could cost you your life.
it sure can. It can cost you your life. Or whether it's costing your life by you actually being killed, or it's costing you your life by you defending yourself and spending the rest of your life in prison. Because Georgia does not have a self defense law.
See, I bet a lot of people didn't understand, didn't know that either.
Yeah. So
So,
it's best to just get yourself out the situation. There is help.
and I'm not sure if you can give this person's information, but who was it that you contacted that got you in contact with the person that you're speaking with now?
Google
And what was it that you looked up on Google?
domestic violence help, and they'll send you to a hotline, and you just go from there.
And so y'all heard that. If you're in a domestic violence situation and you think that there is no way out, Google is one of the avenues that you can go to. There is another avenue that you can also try. It's called, and I never get it right. So please try both of them. One of them is the right one. It's either pound 211 or it's star 211.
Or you can just dial 211.
So I knew it was one of them.
Yeah, you can just dial 211.
And these agencies do have the capabilities of getting you to somebody that can help you in your situation and out of your situation because you do not have to accept being abused. And most of the people that are abusive were abused, and they have no other way of dealing with it except of trying to dominate somebody else that they feel is weaker or lesser than them, and destroying basically, like this Brooks says, destroying your self esteem, your self worth, and your value to make them feel a bigger, better person. Anybody that's paid attention to what I say, that to anything that's on my show, it says it says at the end, and I say it, that you are your own power. But you have to understand that you are your own power, and you have to stop putting that power into the hands of people that don't know what to do with their own power. Because if they can't handle their own, they damn sure can't handle yours. But they find it easier to control yours because they can't control theirs. Ms. Brooks, I appreciate you for taking the time out and
Thank
coming
you.
on the ICON Chronicles to speak about domestic violence. I'm sure that the topic will come up again because domestic violence is a constantly growing thing. It never changes. It doesn't evolve, but it does need to get better.
Thank you. I appreciate you for having me, and I hope this helps someone.
Anybody, if anybody else has any questions that they don't want to go right off to 201 or go to Google first, how do they get in contact with you? Now, don't give your phone number out because they don't tell them who
Oh,
gonna
I'm
call
on
you.
exactly. I'm on Facebook. They can hit me up on Messenger. I'm on Instagram. They can DM me. I promise you, I will respond.
Now, you see her name spelled at the bottom, Sheree. So make sure that you spell it correctly. Not Cherie, not Sherry.
Yeah, none of those.
If you have any questions and you want to talk to somebody before you go to a counselor, just get your nerve built up to call a counselor or to call for help, here's one avenue that you have. Don't sleep on it. Don't ignore it because that one time that you ignore it, it might cost you more than what you're willing to lose.
Exactly.
I'm gonna cut this short. Usually I do an hour, y'all. I'm gonna cut it at 55 minutes because my nose has said, nigga, get off. My voice has said, you done did enough. I will be back next Monday. I just got news that someone else is going to be a guest. So tune in on Monday. I have no idea who it is yet, but when I find out, I will let y'all know. And as always, y'all know that Wednesday is the day. Check it out, and we will see y'all next week. Miss Sheree Brooks, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you
Y'all
for
have a
having
good one. Drink orange juice.
me.
I don't do chicken soup, but chicken soup, y'all. Don't let this change in weather mess with y'all. Not let it beat me. Don't let it beat y'all. Y'all be safe. Y'all be straight. And y'all have an awesome rest of the week. Peace. All right. It will be peace as soon as I get everything straight. Told y'all this sickness got me like slow stepping. Y'all have a good one, y'all. Peace out.